Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Norman's Orchids again. As you can tell, I'm not Jamie Fang. Jamie is out this week, so I get the pleasure of doing the pre-show for you. And today we're going to talk about lights. My name is Jeff Young, and I'm going to talk to you about why you need lights for the winter time. And actually, why it's beneficial just to use them year-round instead of just the winter time. Right now, you can tell it's getting darker. These days, we don't have anywhere near the amount of sunlight that we had even 2 to 3 weeks ago. Light is getting very short at this point. So you have all these orchids that want to bloom in the spring, and what are you going to do? A lot of people place them by their windowsills, which is great. If you have an east-facing window, you can do that. You may get enough light in to be able to bloom some of your lower light level requirement orchids like Phalaenopsis and different things. But other folks just don't have that pleasure, or they grow them in their basement and they don't get anywhere near enough light. So they have to bring in a lot more light to be able to do it. So I was faced with the same dilemma, probably 3 years ago now, maybe a little bit more, maybe 4 years ago, of where I had a house that I got great east-facing light from, but I didn't get any light from any other windows. And when I moved from that house, my orchids were not blooming. I would get great leaf production, I would get great root production, but I just did not have any orchids blooming. All my bloomers stopped blooming regularly for me. So I began looking at buying lights. I bought several different LEDs off of eBay, off of Amazon, go to Costco, go to Walmart, whatever, and buy LEDs. But the problem that I found was that all the LEDs, it would say, I'd order it off of, say, eBay. And it said, oh, this is 300 watts. And I would plug it in, and I think I'm going to get 300 watts from it. And then I started measuring how much electricity it was actually drawing. It was only drawing 100 watts. I think 119 watts to be exact with it. So here I'm supposed to have this LED that's going to put out 300 watts, but it's only taking in 119 watts. And probably a good portion of that, 10-15 watts, is being used by the fan to cool it. So I said, well, this just doesn't work. So I'd go and try a couple other LEDs. Bought, 8-10 different ones off of Amazon and eBay. It's all the same thing. Oh, this is 1200 watts. But you plug it in, you actually measure it, pulls 300, 400 watts. Well, that's not 1200 watts. So then I started looking around and I seen there was some things you can actually make your own LEDs. I thought, hey, that sounds like fun. I'll try and make some of my own LEDs. So I started buying these little kits and putting together LEDs. And I said, this isn't too bad. But it wasn't exactly what I wanted. Because the way that I wanted to grow it was I wanted to do it in the baker's racks, which is the wire metal racks that you can buy off of Costco, or you can walk into Lowe's, different places, and buy. They're great. They're easy to set up. They're multiple tiered shelves. And you can probably hold 30 to 50 plants depending upon the size of the pot that you have that you're putting in there. So I bought those, and then I started thinking, okay, well, how am I going to light this? Because, the shelves are only so far apart. If I have that distance, I can't go out and buy a huge LED that puts out a beam, because it's going to fry one section of the shelf and the other part of the shelf isn't going to have any. Or I'm going to spend $200 per shelf to try and put LEDs on it. And that didn't make sense either. So I started thinking, okay, we need something that goes across like a shop light. A shop light that would go across these shelves and hang on these shelves would be ideal. So that's when I started looking. I found housing like this. This is a really nice housing, because this one is only 24 inches, but for 48, we make the longer ones. You put this across your shelf, and you can hang it. It doesn't take up a lot of space, and it's going to cover the entire length of your shelf, right? So if you put 2 of them on there, you're going to get even distance across the entire shelf. I thought, well, that's going to be really good. So then we had to start thinking about spectrum and all kinds of other different things. That leads down to a whole nother road, which we'll get into in a minute. But what I found was, by taking 2 of these and putting it on a shelf, I never use one. Always use 2 per shelf, that it'll cover the depth of the shelf, which is usually between 14 and 18 inches. So 2 of these will cover one shelf. I thought, okay, that's great. Now how are we going to wire all these things together? You know, that is another consideration, because I don't want to have 6 or 8 plugs to plug in the LEDs per shelf. So what I come up with, and what is readily available out there, and I'll just plug this one in and show you, is if we plug this into the power on one side, that lights up the LED, right? Now it's on, it's running. So now I can take a second LED, because I have another wire coming off this, and plug in a second LED to it. I just have to connect it there properly, get it stay on. So now I have 2 LEDs running. Well, 2 LEDs will do one shelf. Okay, we already talked about that. That's great. How do we get from that shelf to my next shelf on my rack? Well, a simple connector, which we have these, they're 30 inches. We'll connect back onto the end. And then plug in to the next LED. And that takes me to a whole nother shelf. Look at this. This is probably 3 feet or 3.5 feet from this light to the next one now. So because each LED, so this would be one level of flowers. This would be your next level. And you can daisy chain 10 or 12 of these together. It really doesn't matter. You know, each one of these is only about 10 watts. So even if you had 10, that's only 100 watts. That's the strength of a regular light bulb. Not a big deal. And you can just keep going multiples all the way on up to get what you need. So that solved my dilemma of how am I going to energize this thing? Because I can take one standard plug it into a 110, 115, and then light up as many on that shelf as I wanted to do. So that gets me all of the different levels. So then the question was, when I'm doing these, well, what is optimum for orchids? How do I figure out what I'm going to do? I knew that I needed light, but all light isn't the same. What do orchids really want over what we see? What people see is really more of the green spectrum of, well, just the spectrum. We see more of the green portion than we do the lower end, which would be the blue, or the higher end, which is red. So the plants, what we have found out, like more of the blue spectrum for root growth. So we need to have blue spectrum in there if we're going to provide good root growth to them. But what about flowering? The flowering and photosynthesis is more driven off of the red spectrum. So we have to have a good amount of red if we're going to have flowering and leaf growth, right? We have to have blue because we want the roots to grow well. We have to have good root system, or you're not going to be able to support your flowering and leaf growth. But you also have to have blue. So we balance that out, and that's why you'll see my LEDs, although they have a lot of red in it, the light that comes off of them is white, because I really can't stand the purple light or the just solid blue or the solid red light. It just doesn't look right in your setup. And you can't enjoy the colors of your flowers if you have purple and red light like that. You have to almost turn your LEDs off if you want to look at your flowers. And to me, that's absurd. Why do you want to turn your LEDs off? You might as well leave them on. So my LEDs will actually enhance the flowers. Let me just grab one. So if you have your flower and you put them under my LEDs, they actually enhance the appearance of it. They don't take away from it. Whereas if you just have a purple or a red LED and you want to look at your flowers, you're going to have to turn off your LEDs to even look at it. To me, that's just crazy. So you can see, which I'm not going to point it to very much, if you look at it, which you should not do, you'll see that I have a lot of white LEDs in there. The white is the blue and the white light, as well as I have a lot of additional red. I use the higher end red spectrum, as well as I started using a lot of the 730 nanometer as well the far red, or infrared if you want to say, because we found out that that also promotes faster blooming. So your plants will actually bloom faster having the far red than they will if they didn't have the far red. So that's kind of the gist of the LEDs that I make and why I make them. And then, you know, people always ask me, well, if I have the LEDs, how many hours a day should I run the LEDs? Well, that's seasonal. I think the best is a minimum of 12 hours a day, and we usually do that December and maybe January. And then in January, February, and March, start increasing it by an hour per day, per month, until you get up to either 14 or 16. I think 16 is better. A lot of people only want to run their LEDs 14 hours a day. That's fine, you can run them 14, but I think you're going to get better results if you run them up to 16 hours per day. And a lot of people think that you need a lot brighter light than what you really need with the LEDs. They read different things on websites that say, oh, you have to have 3,500 foot candles for cattleyas, or you have to have, you know, 1,500 foot candles for Phalaenopsis. Well, that is true, but those numbers really were derived from when they were measuring it, and a lot of it came from noon or afternoon studies. That's what the sun would put out, or maybe you would get in a greenhouse at noon. But remember, when you have this LED and you turn it on in the morning, and it comes on at 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and it runs for 16 hours, it's delivering the same amount of energy over that 12 to 16 hour day. It doesn't peak at noon and then start coming down. It doesn't take all morning to get up to its peak at noon and then start coming down again. This is a consistent amount of energy. So when you're delivering a consistent amount of energy, you don't have to have the peak that you have, that, you know, some of these other sites suggest. It's absolutely not necessary. I have people that will take this LED right here, and they'll put Phalaenopsis under my LED. And for Phalaenopsis, I always recommend 13, 14 inches from the top of the canopy, which would be the top of the leaves. So if we had this, we'd go from the top of the leaves, 13 inches up to my light. Okay? Can you guys see that? So we'd go 13 inches from the top of these leaves here, from the top of these leaves to the bottom of the light. We want about 13 inches. The same light you can take and bloom cattleyas under. Now, if we have a cattleya, which we have some around here, but I'm not going to grab one, we would only want to be about 7 inches. So by dropping it, that 6 to 7 inches, we've doubled, more than doubled, the intensity of this LED. This LED will now start blooming cattleyas, whereas before, you're blooming Phalaenopsis at a higher distance. So just that little bit of distance, that 6, 7 inches, will make all the world of difference in you blooming a cattleya versus a Phalaenopsis. Starting this next year, I started making a little bit more powerful light. I've taken the same LED design, the same LED structure, and I've doubled it. So now, instead of with my traditional one row, you can see there's one row of chips in there. Instead of one row of chips, now I have 2 rows of chips. I'm only going to make them in the 48 inch. I'm not going to make them in the smaller ones because people are going to bloom larger plants, cattleyas, dendrobiums, catasetums, that type of thing under these. So this is now going to have 38 watts of power, actual draw power, 38 watts. And if you put 2 of these above your cattleyas, you'll have awesome blooms with this, okay? You still have to take care of your plant, but you take care of your plant, you'll have awesome blooms because this is double the power. And everybody for the past multiple years has been blooming them off of my single ones, but having to put them closer. So now we can take them a little bit further up, still deliver tremendous power to that plant. And that means you're going to get a little bit more coverage. It'll cover a little bit more, a little bit deeper on the shelf, a little bit more depth on the shelf. So that's what we've been working on. In addition to that, you know, this isn't, I think a lot of people have the misconception that I go out and I just buy these from wherever I can find them, then turn around, bring them in and sell them. I actually don't. I design the whole thing. I define the parts and then have them made with a partner factory that does it for me. But everything from the color of the cord, the connection of the cord, if you notice it has an O-ring here, that O-ring, when you connect them and you screw them down, it actually provides an IP65. IP65 is a rating for waterproof. These are actually waterproof LEDs. So everything that's on here is on here for a reason. The driver that's inside, the chips that are used, the actual chips, I determine which chips I want to use, the manufacturer, the whole thing. So it's not that I just go out and I pick a LED and say, okay, well, this would be a good LED and we use it. No, I actually go out and design everything. And the research that I do, a lot of it has to do, it starts here with, I have a little spectrometer. I use the spectrometer, I can set it up in the greenhouse, measure the light, which Norman's been nice enough to let me measure a lot of his different greenhouses. And I get the data from there. So I figure out how, ask him, hey Norman, what's your best blooming greenhouse? He says, oh, I use this one for blooming. Okay, so I go and I measure that light. I measure how many hours a day light hits that greenhouse, how much light actually gets into that greenhouse, what the spectrum is that comes into that greenhouse, all kinds of different things. And then I go back and I determine, okay, what do I need to replicate in a light that's similar to his greenhouse so that we can get the same results that Norman gets blooming at home, right? Because that's what we want. Trade secret? Well, I'm not supposed to say trade secret. Yeah. No, you can duplicate in your house what he's doing in his best blooming greenhouses. So that's what we've done. So then I take that back to my manufacturer and say, okay, this is the spec, this is the range, this is what I have to do, this is what I want. This is another tool that I use. It's made by Apogee Instruments. And this doesn't do just spectrum. This is where I get my DLI, daylight integer from. This measures photon flux, all kinds of different things that I can get from it. But this is another one that I get that I place in the different greenhouses. It allows me to gather the data. And this one I think we just had running for like over a month, up until a couple of weeks ago. So I have a lot of data that I need to go through on that one to capture and try and make heads and tails out of. Because every time I manufacture these lights, I'm always looking for what I can improve. So I take the data that I gather from Norman's greenhouses, capture it through the different various tools that I have, and then go back to my manufacturer and say, okay, we need to change this. I want to increase this. I want to decrease that. And that's what we do. And then that's how we come up with the product that you guys have now. And that's what you guys have been using for the past couple of years. And if you notice, if you look through the forums and look, everybody will say Jeff Young lights. Well, that's what Jeff Young lights are right here. You can get them at the orchidhobbyist.com. Again, that's the orchidhobbyist.com. And what it is just data that we've been able to take from greenhouses, assemble it through the tools, the various different tools that I have to be able to capture it, and then figure out what we need as hobbyists, because I'm growing just like you guys are, what we need, what's going to give us the edge as far as blooming our plants. And is it just for orchids? No, it's not just for orchids. It'll work for anything. I have people that grow vegetables under it. I have people that grow African violets are getting to be real popular. A lot of the African violet, nodding his head yes. A lot of the African violet people are growing under my LEDs. I've had people in Canada, because you know that they have shorter days too. They're growing vegetables, tomatoes, bell peppers, cucumbers, habaneros, all kinds of stuff under them. So anything that takes full spectrum will do well under these lights because it is full spectrum. But the plus comes in, like I say, is because I add the additional red, and I go even further by adding the far red to it, the 730 nanometer spectrum. And that's really what's responsible for earlier blooming and also higher flower count. So, you know, next time, you know, you look out and you see your plants sitting there and you think, I think they need a little bit more light. Consider my lights. They're proven, they work. There's a lot of time that I've spent researching these. I still spend a lot of time, And there's a lot of development that's gone into getting these lights. So when you look at it and you say, okay, well, isn't this just the same as if I go to Walmart or I go to Home Depot and buy a light? Absolutely not. No way. No way. Those lights, like I say, remember, those lights are geared for what you see, what your eyes see. What the plant sees or what the plant wants is completely different than what your eyes see. They like the blue, they like the red. Now in the middle is the green, which is what we see. The green is great for penetration, deep leaf penetration or deep canopy penetration. That's where the green is really going to come in. But as far as the blue and the red, it's important to have that good mix of blue and red. If you want good root growth and you want a lot of flowers and good flower production, that's where you want the red. So big difference between what I have and what you're going to get from Home Depot or anywhere else. Like they say right on the box, those are shop lights, not orchid lights, not plant lights.
It's less electricity too, because
well, if you're comparing this to like a fluorescent bulb or T5HO, those things, most of those bulbs are going to run 45 watts. Okay, each one's going to draw 45 watts. These, even on my, well, the small ones like these, I think are 9-10 watts. Okay. So that, and that's what I was saying earlier before you came, you can hook 10 of these up. And that would be just like a regular light bulb in your house, regular incandescent light bulb. 10 of these. So you can get your metal rack, connect 10 of them together. I showed everybody how we connect them, how we power them. Connect 10 of them together, and it would be the same as if you're running just one light bulb. Just one. And you can run that the entire day. It's not going to take that much energy consumption.
And not much heat come out of it.
No, there's no heat. I can leave this on, plug it in, run it the entire day. I can run it 16 hours, in fact. I can run this for 16 hours and touch this, and it's never going to be warm. I know you guys have all seen the pictures where Jamie has these hanging in her book stand, right? She has her book stand. She has these above the book stand. Some of hers are actually touching the lights. They're close enough they're actually touching. They don't burn up. I don't recommend that. I mean, let's not all go out and start doing that. There's no reason for it. But let's say that you have a spike that's coming up and it starts touching the LEDs. It's not going to burn it. It's not going to burn at all. This has been on now for a minute. If this was a regular light bulb, I'd be going in the emergency room with 3rd-degree burns. Okay, I would have burned my hand already by now. I can sit here and hold this, and it's not even warm to the touch field.
Yeah, completely cool.
Yeah. This is not going to burn your leaves. You're not going to have any damage from heat. And, like I said, it's completely IP65 waterproof, all the way down to the connections. The connections have this little O-ring on it. And with that O-ring, once you put the cap on and you screw them together, you're IP65 waterproof for the entire thing. You can put it, don't do it. You can put it and run it underwater. It can be done. And just the O-ring is gonna keep it. So you're not gonna get that from Home Depot. You're not gonna get that from, Walmart or even the Amazon stuff. They're all just mass produced. They're brought in, they're not produced for plants. You're not gonna have that. So when you need a light, think about, the Orchid Hobbyist. He has lights that are meant to grow orchids. And that's why they're meant to grow orchids. Like I said, I'm growing them at home just like you are. There's no difference between me and you. And this is what I use, and they work.
And how long with the, what is the lifespan?
The lifespan, the chips will last 50,000 hours. Okay. Because we have chips that are in here. So on a 48-inch, I have 120 chips. This one is my double one. You can see there's 2 rows of chips. This one has 240 chips. The chips themselves will last 50,000 hours. But that's probably not what's going to burn out first. What's going to burn out first is you're going to get a bad connection somewhere, something's going to get twisted, something's going to get bent, something's going to happen somewhere, or there's also a driver in there. The driver may fail. Theoretically, everything should last for 50,000 hours. I warranty it 1 year unconditional. You have a problem, send it back. I'll ship you a new one because I know that they're not going to go bad. But theoretically, I think, you should expect 3 to 5 years without having to replace it. And when you're doing bulbs, you replace them every 6 months, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're doing every 6 months. So these are a little bit more expensive up front than buying a bulb, but you're not going to have to replace them every 6 months. You're not going to go through the hassle. So the other question I get a lot is, how do I hang them? They come with these little hangers. Sometimes they're metal, sometimes they're plastic, just whatever I happen to have at the time. They snap on. It has a screw hole at the end. If you're mounting it under a shelf, all you have to do is snap it on and run a screw after it's on there. That makes it really convenient. For me, this is too much hassle. I don't even use this because I'm using the wire rack. I just like to use zip ties. I take a zip tie, run it around the wire rack, the slats that are going through the rack,
I think that thing is very,
and I just slide it through 2 zip ties because, again, it's not getting hot. This has been running now for 5 minutes or something like that. It's still cool to the touch. I can sit here and hold it. It's not going to melt any zip tie that goes around it. Brian, you use zip ties on yours, right?
Yeah, I zip tied it.
Yeah, it's just convenient because the only drawback to this is sometimes when you're working around it, you hit it and then the light will pop out.
Oh, right.
And I don't want to mess with the lights popping out. See, I mean, it just kind of snaps on and it snaps off just like that. I prefer not to use them, like I said. But if you're going to mount it somewhere and you're going to leave it there, it works just fine. I'm always doing something. So for me, I just run it through 2 zip ties hanging, run it through that way, and then you're done. And the other thing that you need to do, this, I call it an end cap, because remember, each LED has 2 wires. One wire where the power comes in, which has this screw cap on it with the O-ring so it can be IP65 waterproof. And then the other end where the power would go out to the next LED. But eventually you get to the end of the chain, right? Eventually you reach the end and you say, hey, I don't have any more LED, but I still have this terminal. That's a live terminal. Still has 110 volts running through it. So we take this cap and just push it on over the end of it. Actually, I think it's made to go on the, no, it should go on this end. Just take it, it stretches out, and just force it over the end of it. And then once you get it on the end of it, you know, you can screw it a little bit there, whatever. Now, there's nothing exposed. And again, it's all about being waterproof because you want it waterproof. You don't want live power running and you're watering your flowers, water's running down, you got power and water. No, that doesn't work. So when you get to your very last one, you only need 1 per setup. You put on the terminal or the end cap and you're done. What do you think? You have any questions?
I've been wanting to order.
You've been wanting to order. Yeah. Why? Because the days are getting shorter, right?
Yes.
You're beginning to wonder, hey, what am I gonna do this winter with my plants because they need light?
And
well,
it's starting to get cool. So.
Yeah, again, and look, this has been on for what, 10 minutes?
Yeah.
How much heat is it? How much heat is it putting?
Supplement your greenhouse too.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, that's another idea.
Not even warm, is it?
Yeah. No, and I think that's a great idea because it's so waterproof. You can put it in the greenhouse.
Well, waterproof. Yeah, there's a lot of people that supplement. Linda supplements, I think, her greenhouse with them, and a lot of other folks. You know, waterproof is just really important because we're watering our orchids every week, sometimes every 2 or 3 days in the summer, and then, you know, in the wintertime, maybe only twice a month. But no matter what, there's always water. So you got to think, you know, water, and you don't want water and power just don't mix.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah.
So I don't know of stuff that you're buying from Home Depot, Walmart, Amazon. What else on there says waterproof?
Yes.
How many things say waterproof? They're not. Waterproof is an issue.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that what you're buying is waterproof for your own safety.
Yeah.
I think that's about it. Do we have any questions, Brian?
And you have every size in stock now.
Well, next week.
Good.
Yes, they're in LA. They're just waiting to clear customs.
Great.
One person asked, do they not need reflectors to spread out the light?
Okay, good question. A lot of people think these are bulbs. They're not. They're complete units. Everything is contained. That's why it has the wires on it, not just pins that plug into a hood. This is one complete unit. You plug it in and you use it, and that's it. If you look at it, you'll notice that the bottom part of the lens is clear and the top part has this white coating on the inside. That is the reflector. So what that's going to do is that's going to keep all light pointing directly down. You see that there's chips. The chips are going to be, when you hang it at 90 degrees, they're going to come straight down. They're not pointed towards you, they're not pointed towards me, they're pointed straight down. So this coating across the top is going to keep any light that would normally come out from the side a little bit or come back up towards the top, it's going to direct it straight down. So the lens itself is a specific lens that disperses the light at 120 degree beam angle coming out. So you have these chips that face straight down, and the lens disperses it at 120 degrees coming out of here. That's why, again, we go back and I recommend 2 per 14 to 18 inch depth shelf. And then you don't put 2 of them together like this right in the middle. You spread them out. So you have one 3 to 4 inches from the back and one 3 to 4 inches from the front. And look, when you do that, they happen to connect perfectly together. So that's the amount of wire on here is by design, because you can put the 2 of those together and have them spread across the shelf that we use, and it'll be the perfect distance to even out the light on that shelf. It'll be properly spread for you, so then you don't have to worry about it.
Someone was asking, just to double check, would these be waterproof, or like if they want to use it in a greenhouse?
Definitely waterproof if you want to use it in a greenhouse. They are IP65. What I would suggest is that you Google IP65 and look at the rating on that. That'll explain to you. It's going to go into some big definition as to how many feet underwater it can go, the whole thing, whatever. I don't think about going underwater. I just think about it being splash proof and you not getting shocked. That's what's important to me. And the last thing that I always suggest to people, and I think people don't even think about, is when you're doing the rack and you connect them all in parallel, we call it daisy chain. When you daisy chain all of them, you just end up with one cord, which means you're going to have one plug. So now what you need to do with that one plug is connect it to a timer.
Yeah.
Okay? And what I suggest people do is they get a smart plug, because a smart plug has a built-in timer to it. So a smart plug is just going to be a little plug that's going to connect into your socket. And if you have the double socket, it's just going to take up half of that. So one, it's not going to cover the whole plate. It's just going to cover one. And it doesn't really even look like much. I don't have one here, but it would just be a little box. And a smart plug, you're going to put that into your regular 110 outlet. And then you're going to hook it up to your Wi-Fi. It's going to connect to your Wi-Fi, and then you're going to take out your cell phone, and now you can program it for how many hours you want it to come on, what time you want it to come on, and what time you want it to go off, and for how many days. So because we're doing this, we want it 7 days, so we want 7 days a week. And now we're going into winter, so we're going to drop it down to probably 12 to 13 hours. So we're going to have 12 to 13 hours that it's going to run. And we're going to do all this on the smartphone. And then each month, we're going to increase it starting in February or March by an hour a day to get up to our 14 or 16, whatever you prefer. So each month, you just go and add an extra hour on it. You're not messing with the little dip switches. Everybody thinks, oh God, I got to configure another one of those timers. No. Forget those timers with the dip switches. Get a smart plug. The smart plug is going to be your friend on this. It's going to be so much easier. And they're only probably like $9 or $10 for one of them off Amazon. That's going to be your friend in this, because it's going to get you through this faster and easier, and it's going to make it more flexible for you to keep adding an hour a day come the springtime months, so you can get up to your maximum of 14 or 16 hours a day.
Someone asked if they should buy the newer design or the older design.
I only offer the newer design at any time. This one, which I said was newer design, this is the double row, so it's more power. This one is what I recommend for cattleyas, vandas, catasetums, dendrobiums, and it's actually going to be available for 2021. I think I have some coming in next week, and then the bulk of my order will be available, will be coming in sometime in November. So I really said the release date is 2021 on it, but I'll probably start shipping them by the end of November. So that, you don't want to take this and use it for Phalaenopsis. It's just too much power. It's a waste of money. It's not going to hurt your Phalaenopsis any. You're going to give them too much light. But what you would do is just raise it higher. But why do you want to spend more money and then raise it a further distance? You can do it with just my regular LEDs for a little bit less money and not have to worry about it. But this, the newer one that I've come out with, is specifically for your higher light requirement orchids.
Someone asked if they can be hung vertically.
Vertically?
I don't
Sure,
know.
you can hang them any way you want. There are people that are doing these cabinets now. They're taking old curio cabinets, old china cabinets. There's a whole group, I think Crystal's involved in it. She said she's building a group, and they're going to use IKEA cabinets. They're going to IKEA and buying cabinets. And in some of those instances, they want to have, the light is greater depth than what one of these would normally reach being hung this way. So in some cases, they're going to mount them vertically in these cabinets, either from the front or the back. I'm not sure how they're doing it yet, or sometimes they do it from the side. But yeah, you can mount these however you like. There's no specific orientation to them whatsoever.
Someone asked, do we need to wear protective eyeglasses around them?
Well, I mean, I can't sit here and say no. Yeah, you should wear sunglasses around them all the time to protect your eyes. First of all, you should never look directly into the LED itself. You can damage your eyes. But it's like any light. You know, if you're going to be working around lights, it's always a good idea to wear a safety glass. If you're going to be working around bright lights like this, it's probably a good idea to wear sunglasses. But because these are hung and the light is coming straight down and it's not pointed towards you or towards me, I don't wear any glasses while working around them. I work around them all the time. But you do want to make sure that the light is pointing directly down. And you should never try to stare into the LEDs to see if all the chips are working, or they're going to work, but you should never stare at it.
Someone asked, how many do you recommend for a 24-inch shelf?
24 inches would be the depth. If it's 24 inches deep, instead of 2, I would go to 3. Because on a normal, like I said, 14 to 18 inch, and 18 is getting kind of on the edge of pushing it, just because of the 120-degree angle coming out and the height that you're going to have the lights above it. You're going to want a little bit more coverage than what these are going to do when you get into 24-inch depth shelf. So then I would go to 3 over 2.
That's all the questions.
All right, then I'm going to get out of here so Norman can get started. And I want to thank Jamie and Norman for allowing me to come in and talk to you guys about lights today. You can tell I'm a little bit passionate about it. I spend all my time researching, developing, and working on improving my lights, because it's not just a product to buy and sell, it's really a passion for me. I enjoy lights.
Yes, and just like my fertilizer, everybody can come out with a fertilizer formulation, but a lot of time they are chemists, and you can draw a lot of different formulation in the laboratory, but a lot of the formulation or the light, they just a spectrum, but they never even test it on the plant. So this is why I really encouraged Jeff to do his light, and because and that's why we have the podcast is about. Hi, my name is Norman Fang, and we have a lot of new members, and this is the podcast we started back in March when the California first shut down, and this is our what 29 episode now. So today's topic is one of my favorite, is on the Standard Cattleyas, and on the background here, Jeff, can you see the handset here?
Yes.
Okay.
It's massive.
I'm gonna leave it here. Can you kind of shoot?
Yep.
Okay. this is what good fertilizer and Mega Delight does. You notice every single shoot of this NSEP. And this is the NSEP, not in the greenhouse. I grow this outdoor. Okay, experience 108, 110 a month ago. And that's what makes it like helping the more stress resistant. And the fertilizer, the normal Optimum fertilizer, if you don't have one yet, all we're trying to do is, I'm not in the business of selling fertilizer. People always want to duplicate what the commercial grower do. And this is why this is all concentrated. You only use a teaspoon per gallon of water. But the idea is when the plant are grown well, and the Mega Delight help, the enzyme help to optimize the plant, the physiology. And every single plant, every single shoot have spike. And look at this is Dahlia NSEP, and this is the NSEP season. The different kind of NSEP. If you're looking for NSEP, it's wonderful. It's a species native to Mexico. It hardly down to 29 degrees, believe it or not. And we have it hanging on the tree in our queen palm tree. And they're different style. And most of the NSEP you buy, you want to buy them in. Most of the growers do not sell you in flower or in spike because some of the NSEP depend on the type. Look at the spike length. Okay, if you just order one plant, the spike, because FedEx is doing dimensional weight. Just the shipping charge for this box is gonna over $65. So the plant may be 45, 48 in spike, but the shipping will kill you. So this is why a lot of time we rarely offer NSEP in spike or in bloom because the height. So all you have to do is just go to my website. There's a search box that says just type in NSEP and they'll bring in any pure NSEP or NSEP hybrid, which is anything with NSEP will give you heat tolerance and also cold tolerance. Okay, now and Andrew here today, he also brought in some of the his orchid that we can critique later. Anyway, so let's talk about Standard Cattleyas. Okay, there's some of you already know from my previous podcast. Back in 1980, when I was a student at Cal Poly Pomona, I was lucky enough to work at Cal Poly Pomona, and my boss is Don Delano. So for about 6 years at Cal Poly, coming out 4 or 5 years, I was in charge of the over 100,000 cattleya remember collection. So I actually grow cattleya in the big number before I grow Phalaenopsis. But Standard Cattleyas is very Americano. The history for Standard Cattleyas started from World War II when the British, the Royal Horticulture Department Garden, when they had World War II, and they need to have all the coal for the household and not going to the hot houses, greenhouses. So a lot of the wealthy people started sending their private collection, okay, sending to DuPont and Delaware, Pennsylvania. And this is how the Standard Cattleyas come into America, because for years, the royalty in England have been sending collectors to South America to collect Cattleyas. And incidentally, the Cattleyas is actually, the funny story is, Cattleya was used to be a packing material for them to ship Bermuda. So the British, the royalty actually sent the collector to South America looking for exotic Bermuda or some other stuff. So but the Bermuda, as you know, they might kind of scratch it. So they just grab some of this kind of ugly on the street branches and use it as a packing material. And in those days, they might take over 30 days from South America to London. And a lot of time, those Bermuda dehydrated, they rotted, and surprisingly, a lot of this Cattleyas survived. So they planted it, and voila, the flower, some of the most spectacular species. We had the cattleya barcii, paparata, and so on. So now they don't send in to collect bromeliad anymore. They send in to collect cattleya. So that's a short story how this is what we call the cattleya, the new world orchid, versus the Paphiopedium from Asia, the old world orchid. Okay, so this is cattleya, all the special standard, only from South America, not from Asia. Okay, so in my definition, last week we talked about the miniature type. Okay, miniature type, I try to do the cattleya mainly by the height, because a lot of the cattleya, they can be also definition of the standard, usually by the height, also by the size of flower. So this is what we call the micro mini, and this is considered a mini. And for the standard, usually about 5 inch and up, and minimum and about 12 inches in height and up. So this is a perfect example of the primary hybrid the lip giveaway is Dipiana, Brosso lady Dipiana. And Dipiana is one of the most fragrant cattleya. And this is a Bossovala. And the trademark is the French lip. Okay. And it also contributes to be a little bit more compact. So this is why it's so compact. It can take a lot of heat. Okay. And this is the straight species, cattleya Wussii. Okay, so you can tell. So in the old days of the cattleya, when they come to East Coast, a lot of New Jersey, that's how they start develop into corsages. Remember those photographs from 40 and 50? Everybody have a corsages for the prom. It's fashionable at that time to have a corsages. So the beginning of the standard cattleya is actually not developed for pot plant, or it's actually nobody can afford at the time, because cattleya, before the tissue culture of cloning developed in the late 60s and early 70s, a price cattleya can be even more expensive than the height of the variegated tulip in England at the time, because only one. So in the old days, even when I was a kid growing up in the late 60s and 70s in Taiwan, cattleya is very expensive, and they sell by the bowl, not by the pot. They can, even today, some of the price species, some Brazil or cattleya, they don't want to clone it. They sell it by division only. They will say division of how many bowl. And you go to Japan, some of the really rare Waka Dendriana, they charge by the bowl. So the bowl can be $1,000 USA, or minimum $250. So that's why that's a different. There are some people still collecting them, but because of mass market tissue culture, not everybody can afford. But cattleya still consider not your mass-produced plant, because cattleya from out of flash to the standard, okay, the standard size take about 5 to 6 years to reach maturity. Before they reach maturity, they will never flower. They still germinal. So this is why sometimes, if you're a beginner, okay, if you've never grown standard cattleya before, buy the mature plant. Or on my website, we always say mature plant. That means blooming size. Okay, they will flower the next year, they win a year on the next blooming cycle. Or get the premium plant, or sometimes we have jumbo plant. Get them, because unless you are 19 years old, okay, you don't have, some people don't want to, a lot of people make a mistake in the very beginning. They want to get those, sometimes if you're in Florida, have those bag orchid, really cheap. Those are, they're $15, but they not actually, you actually pay a lot of money for that size. That's really young plant, okay? So then you're gonna end up with a lot of 50 of the young plant, and we can take you another 4 years to grow. And you're gonna, in those 4 years, you're gonna look at nothing but green plant.
If they all survive.
If they survive. So if you are beginning to grow an orchid, is a size, bigger size available? Get a bigger size, because it's worth the money, because let the commercial growers invest the time in the growing for you. And then not only that, the bigger plant is more forgiving. If you at the beginning you forgot to water them or fertilize it, they are more forgiving on the plant. So this is the start. A lot of the standard cattleya, generically they are tall plant to begin with. So this is the type I usually do not recommend. This is I give you an example of what some of the older cattleya type variety. If you look at sometimes people are yard sale, if you want to go under light, you never want to get the variety is for cut flower, because cut flower variety, all they care is the flower production. Okay, so they use a lot of Dahlia purpurata, for example, in the background. The plant can be this tall, and I've seen them. I seen them in Chicago, and back in the 80s.
You have one. Remember that one?
Yes, yes. But for you, in Southern California, we have a space. We can store it outside, or Florida, we can go outside. No problem. If you are no northeast, northwest, you have to go under light or windowsill. Stay away from it. There are newer standard type of cattleya, which I will show you later by type and breeding. So we actually getting the big flower, and maybe twice a year flower. And another thing, how many of you growing the standard cattleya in the house, not in the greenhouse, in the house as a house plant? Any grow as a house in the house? Okay, there are some. Okay, because one of the things I always been asked by my customer in California, for example, even if you go outdoor, okay, well, this is the reason. This is the bark, and if I have a choice, I would invest, but get the ball pen, get the weight. It's always good. But this is a lot of time people always ask me, how come my standard cattleya never flower in my kitchen window or outdoor? We grow a lot of orchid outdoor in California, and guess what? In the 80s, in the 70s, you know how those cut flower growers always able to time it, their cut flower for Mother's Day, for Easter, and in particular Easter, change every year, right? But how do they do it? They do it by control the light. Just like when the natural poinsettia in a shrub is never flower for Christmas. The reason Christmas, the poinsettia is available usually by Thanksgiving, is controlled by light. And in horticulture, they usually by October, they will have black crop, okay, to cut down the light. So they become short day, long night, to fool the plant thinking they are winter already. So they will have that. And with a combination of colder temperature, night temperature, the bracket of the poinsettia will change from green to red. The same thing is with cattleya. So in order for cattleya to flower for Easter, for example, they might be in late March, April, the cattleya grower using the black crop. Okay, this is why if you grow cattleya, you under light, for example, you want to change from 16 or 14 days down to 12 hours. That actually tell the plant the changing of the season. So they have longer night temperature. The trouble with growing the standard cattleya, especially on the older variety that is sensitive, very close to the species, the Mossii, and they need so many hours on dark and night, just like our peaches, stone fruit. Okay, the reason I can never grow good Asian pear in Southern California, because my winter time is not cold enough. I need so many hours on night temperature below certain hour to have good stimulation for flower, the now flower in spring. So this is why those of you grow fruit tree, that's why stone fruit is what I can never grow cherry here. too warm. My winter time is not cold enough, not enough, long enough for them. Same thing with orchid. So what happened with the standard cattleya? Some of them are older variety. Okay, so I usually stay. This is why I usually stay away. You know, sometimes people, oh, we have the estate sales, so they have an old variety cattleya. I say, okay, thank you, but no thank you, because first of all, they take too much room. Okay, unless they are price variety. And some of the older variety are cut flower background. They only want flower once a year. Okay, the plant are huge, huge. Unless you have space, like us in California, you can put it outside as a patio plant, or you are in South Orlando, for example, and stay away from that. Not to use it as a house plant or go try to go under light, because this is not manageable. The trouble with that kind of older hybrid, and we actually seen less and less question on that type now. Back in the 80s, when I was in Cal Poly Pomona, and I work at the nursery, and a lot of time people will come ask, how come my bulb bed or ball bed type never flower? Guess what? Every time you wake up in the middle of the night and turn on the light, you wake them up. You break up the cycle of how many hours they need to go to sleep. This is why when any of the poinsettia grower, you cannot have a greenhouse or poinsettia grower, not even drive to the greenhouse, the ranch at night, because the light will wake up the poinsettia, and they will become changing the green to red. They will convert into the vegetative green stage. So this is why if you go in under light, for example, it's always not much now in the standard type, but there are some other variety will do that. It's in particular standard white and standard pink, because many of them are developed for cut flower corsages, for example. So the best way, I think the best type is have a room that have, you know, many of you have the kid that already went to college, went up, convert that room, some of them have into office, you can have a light in there. So that way you can close it. And but even when you go outdoor, so have an area that doesn't have the security that come up at night when your cat run through. Okay, so that is a part of the question that answer to you why some of your standard cattleya, whether growing in the house, never flower, or they skip a year, all that. So it's very important for the standard cattleya to have so many hours of darkness at night for them to go to sleep. We call it for the dark for the period. Is that answer your question? I hope this is very critical. So
How many hours?
minimum 8 hours.
Oh.
Minimum 8 hours. But in those 8 hours, they do not let the be disrupt. That's why this is why you wake up in the middle of the night with some milk, you turn on the light, you wake them up. Yeah. But also we stay away from that kind of older hybrid. So but in the future, in the buying, most of the grower today do not even realize that it can be an issue. So we actually trying to work with the breeder. That's why we corner the name pot cattleya versus the cut flower cattleya. So the pot cattleya, one of the thing is, so for the standard height, is to stay small. Okay. Look at this is the standard King of Taiwan. Okay, there is lots of different. Just as Jeff said, everybody have a light, but are they just like the name say King of Taiwan? But the way to tissue culture, the method, garbage in, garbage out. This is how you notice that my King of Taiwan is more compact versus some of the leaf is like, yeah. Okay, it's all in part of in the laboratory, yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
So for standard cattleya, and because I'm in Southern California, every grower is going to use the media is best for them. In this case, a lot of my, unless anything that's 4-inch and smaller, I use moss. Okay, so the reason moss wonderful for me because I'm really hot here. Okay, hot and dry, and we in my nursery, even I had 20 greenhouse here. Every single plant is hand water. Hand water. You do not see a sprinkler head. Okay, because that's one part of my pest and disease control. Because I do not use fungicide here, so we rely on grower. The most important part, one of the things my intern or I trying to train Brian here is the watering. The watering is the most important thing. The people who do the watering, because he's the one, and he had the one, and you too, to have close contact with the plant. So I know many of you have overhead sprinkler in your greenhouse. This is the winter time. I would recommend, even you live in Arizona, I would recommend turning off, because in the winter time now you don't need the water as much, right? The overhead watering can be an issue because if one got passed with bacteria rotted, everything got water, everything got covered. You're actually helping them. So this is why we do what we do. So I usually like to use moss because the plant like this, in the typical bark, will be like 6-inch pot. Okay, so just like some of the previous posts, but I think one thing about the moss is more expensive media, by the way. But the moss, the physical property of the moss is very different than moss, because moss always stay moist before they dry out. So if the plant does not need to get a lot of root, because the bark dry out in between. Okay, the bark, you always gonna have a massive root because a lot of times they do dry out in between. So the plant, the root physiology says, I need to send more root. The moss is actually have less. Okay, anything with moss is less is more. So if you get orchid from me in a moss, okay, the first thing, you never want to repot it right away. There is a YouTube something Miss Girl.
Miss Orchid Girl.
Okay, she said when you got all your orchid, repot it right away. I don't know why. Okay, no, because when the plant in shipping, because my background is plant physiology, the plant. No, as much as we put out, we had the best shipping method among other company, they all have some kind of stress. Okay, just like when you are coming out of the surgery, would you want to go outside and then have a party right away and expose to all kind of germ? No, you don't. You want to kind of recover. So the worst thing you can do to add to the stress for orchid in shipping by mail order, or even simply just buying the orchid from the orchid shop and from the vendor greenhouse or table to your greenhouse, because they're changing the environment. The plant had to adjust to your own environment. Okay, so do not add any more stress to the plant. So all the moss is less is more. So if you, this is what we usually would trim it, but sometimes we don't trim it. But if any of the root is outside, as soon as the root is firm, okay, what's this feel? Okay, this is not firm. You can cut it. As long as the root is firm, they're live, they are functional. They can absorb moisture from the air, even mineral from the air, because right now it's the fall. There's a lot of moisture in the air already. So the moss is less is more with moss. Okay, and I usually like to use the clear pot. If you live in Florida, you can actually cut this off and then let it sit in and just strip it off. And then there's no root here, so you don't want to do any repotting. Most of the time, unless really necessary, this is the time you do not want to do any of the repotting on your standard Cattleyas. Okay, mark my word, do not repot any of your standard Cattleyas. Even if the root is all rotted, that's okay. Look at some of the root that we bare rooted, and then we upside down it. We just waiting for them to get activated, because they're like in short day, long night, they want to raise up. So that's it. So a lot of standard Cattleyas is wonderful. right now it's the fall season, so you should have a lot of your fall blooming cattleya in sheet already. Like this one here.
Oh, yeah.
You see here? This is why I don't want to repot them. Okay, these are in sheet already. And this is a wonderful variety that is finished flower. This is the all-grow outdoor, okay? It had, because the mega dry, it gave two shoot multiple leaf. So this one was flower in August, which is the normal one, but mega dry gave it a bonus shoot. I got a second pair.
Yeah.
So this is why you want to use mega dry, okay? It's proven.
Jamie's chiming in. She sold your cattleya, so don't sell that one.
Jesus, that's what Jamie's the
She's
business
selling
major.
driving down the road. So she said Mark.
That's why
sold,
she's a business
she
major.
Said Mark sold that.
Okay, so have I repot this when this was finished? I will miss this growth. Okay, and not only that, you still have plenty of space. So now I can enjoy. Not only that, I had this Worcester back in August because they grow outside. I got another one 2 months later for October. So it's worth it to use your mega dry regularly, okay? Twice a month. And in between my enormous Optimum fertilizer, it was my senior project, and I tested in vitro in the test tube, and also in the greenhouse. Hey, I have Cowpoly Pomona, and I will have 100 cattleya to try, and I also tried it on Taphipedium and Phalaenopsis, Dendrobium. We will also grow some Cymbidium. Okay, so everybody can write out a formulation or whatever, but this enormous Optimum fertilizer is actually, we formulate for ourselves, so very concentrated. It only a small teaspoon, so this is actually very cheap for 1 pound. And now I also I also added the vitamin B1. Vitamin B1 is essential in tissue culture. Vitamin B1 is also allows root growth inside the pot. Okay, so there's two essential. But if you are a new member, this item here, 000171, is what I call the essential kit. Okay, it comes with the moss, a small pack of moss, bark, mega dry, and Physan. Okay. Okay. This is also considered a standard now because the height, but even though the size. And this is one I bought. This is bought by another customer of mine who he bought this one for me. And if you're interested, this is MC938. It's a Blue Angel. Okay, it's a Blue Boy by Mini Purple. For blue, this is this is a proven variety. Jeff, show this. He grew this outdoor in not half a mile from here. He has treated with Orchid, so he killed the scale. Now, one thing about scale is even the scale is dead, it's still physically market going to be there. Yeah. So usually, I would just use we usually have a lot of old. This is what great for old toothbrush, and if you can find minimum of 75%, I actually have some of 91% alcohol. Yes.
Is alcohol better than hydrogen peroxide?
Oh yes.
Oh, okay.
A lot better than hydrogen peroxide. Okay. But there's hydrogen peroxide is kind of popular now, but I don't really think if you want to use hydrogen peroxide, you have kind of waste money.
Oh,
Physan is a lot more efficient.
No, I mean I use it for the scale.
Yeah. So. No. You can actually Physan you can use as a solvent, the diluted to sprinkle. But even live scale, for example, I think you still can order this. I got this online. This is 91%. Okay, but minimum if you can find 75% isopropyl alcohol. Okay, it's because what nice about it will dry out any live scale. Okay.
Oh, okay. Got it.
The reason I like to use toothbrush because for example for cattleya and Jeff, because I can easily go in between the bowl. So this is why Andrew and my customer like to bring it, so I can clean it for them.
That's what Jamie
That's
said.
okay.
But that's not the point.
No, but this is good because that give me a.
I mean, I try.
But again, just like the miniature before. Okay, leave this sheet here because it's still. Sometimes you can pull it off, but this case for this type is okay. If you can pull it off, I will pull this off. Ah, see I found scale down here.
Yeah.
Okay. The sheet when they were young is green, and that is to protect the very tender flower spike. Now it had done the purpose. The reason I brought this in, okay, you notice because he got this outdoor, okay, and because it's also moisture now in the air. Okay, right now in California, it's dropping down to 60 at night, so you have moisture. You got botrytis. But Jeff, you can see all the botrytis here. Okay, well, one thing he forgot is he did not do Fang. Fang solution, a teaspoon per gallon once a month, if it's for your greenhouse in the wintertime now, will eliminate
Botrytis.
the
fungus.
mildew of. Okay, but it's once you got there, it's too late. Okay, so now I have pollen pickers some spot on my ear. So you want to make sure you also the white, the correct white. Okay, yeah. Before I touch the new plant, you should have the correct white. The white. Okay, but still.
Can you use diluted Clorox to clean the leaves?
No, do not use that. No, I think this Corax is you can do 1%, but I think but we don't know what percentage of Corax in there. That's magic. But Corax is very tough on your skin too, or if you will grow and smell. You don't want to get Corax film into your lung. It's nasty stuff. That's why I only recommend Fang. It's not only is labeled for orchid, but if you want this, it's good to disinfect your benches. You want to recycle your pot, you can use Fang instead of Corax to disinfect your old tool. So Jeff, can you see the scale here?
Yes.
You see that, right? Okay. So now I see there's a live scale now. So this is why
It seems to me scales like cattleya more than others.
Yeah, because they are thick and succulent, and they are thick, and they're very chewy. There's a lot of juice inside. The lady zipper.
Yeah, they don't bother them.
It's not juicy at all.
And they don't. Sometimes they're lobsters.
Scale, yeah. Most of them, no, they don't. Many but love them. Okay, so it's different one. Okay, so basically this is the brew one. Okay, so I clean this up. Nothing I can do on the botrytis. Once it's there, it's there. Okay, so you have this not mine. So you can, if the customer come back, I would suggest maybe just for the situation, this particular one, he bought it from me. We still have this. It flower twice a year, spring and fall, because it has botrytis now. So I would suggest just use the one with the botrytis below, pinch them back because it haven't infected the top yet. It's still clean, and just use this as a vase, flower vase, and put it into your home, away from your orchid. Okay, and make sure this is the time to disinfect all your cattleya area. That's why I say minimum once a month. It's a preventative program. A small teaspoon per gallon of water. Just a water real plant. If you live in Florida or area have a lot of rain right now, as soon as the rain is over, sun is up, water all your plant with diluted Physin solution. That will prevent a lot of rotting, especially in Florida, South Florida. You know, we have my customers Fort Lauderdale have a lot of rain lately. As soon as they dry up, water the plant. Do not forget about the once a month. Okay, you have a lot of rain. You have to be flexible. Okay, right? Can you also put the MC number here? Okay, so right, let me have the purple one. Those two.
This one?
Yeah. Okay, and the yellow one. I love this one. We constantly the yellow one. Okay, this is what I like to see the model for what I call the standard modern cattleya. Look at the size of plant. You see how compact the plant? Now, Jeff, this is what you can grow. Yes, you can grow modern standard big cattleya under light because the size are manageable. Look at the size of plant. And this variety is one of the best brew, Diana brew. Yeah, brew have an AMAOS. It initially was hybrid in Japan, and you know how in Japan they're very particular. Everybody in Japan has small size, even small greenhouse. So the size is very important. So look at this.
And they're all fragrant.
They're all fragrant, especially that's one thing about the standard cattleya. And not only is it pretty, it's the fragrance. So this actually has lots of Worcestershire in the background. Remember now. Remember, this is the Worcestershire. This is the species parent. 5 generations back. This have this. Now you see the improvement. When we say compact for type, when I say that's what in my description I would say compact for type. Mean for standard cattleya, this is what we consider compact for type. Okay, this is why we you know if you are I know we have customer in the judging program or in the host society. You gotta know your species. Okay, know your species also make you a better customer, better grower. Now you know the species background, where they come from, with the negative temperature. Now you can understand and make some cultural adjustment to it. Okay, and this is the first brew, by the way, and this is MC 2198. Wonderful.
2196.
Yeah. This is Harjina. It's hybrid from one of the best yellow from Thailand, which is this one here. It's a hybrid of this one here. It's still open. See here? See the resemblance? So I don't have this one anymore. This is Harjina Delight from Japan. Actually it's not even from Japan, but it's actually the California hybrid because the Destiny have the piñata in the background. Okay, remember the piñata, the species piñata like this. The piñata is a species Brassavola that keep the size of plant down, and then because the lip. Okay, so anything I don't have this one available, but this is actually the next generation, a new improvement. Okay, but it have because the piñata influence will keep the plants down like this. Okay.
How cold do you let your standard go?
My standard cattleya, believe it or not, this one here I can go outdoor.
Oh, okay.
And my temperature go down to 45. But I have a fiberglass, so I do not see in California we rain in the winter time.
Oh, all your blooming cats are sold. None of those are.
Jamie, I'm trying to talk here.
I know, Jamie, we're gonna have to block her next time she goes.
I know. Can we block her IP address?
They're all going to Hollywood, so all those are sold.
Oh, okay. Who's going to deliver?
Not
yeah,
me.
Jamie, who's gonna deliver?
Yep.
But anyhow, we're gonna have to block her next time she goes out of town.
Is that somebody's name, Tom? Anyway, Jamie does have a lot of some of her celebrity customer. Anyway, so compact, fragrance, and you can go under light and windowsill, okay, and even outside the patio, okay. So anything, I still kind of old-fashioned. I do not care for the new classification. This is what still a LC, Ladia cattleya. So anything with Ladia, that's why I like the old classification. Anything Ladia, genus Ladia, you know it's hardy. So Ladia insect, Ladia something like that. Okay, so LC is Ladia with cattleya. So you know it's intermediate grower. So and BLC is Brussels violet, the piano type, the BLC. So the least hardy is what we call straight cattleya from South America. So you have a C, okay, it's the least hardy. So I will be used, that's the type I would not put it outside below 45.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but this type is especially specific. That's why in my nursery here, and all in my website, if you see intermediate grower, okay, intermediate grower is very good for outdoor in my area. So it might be okay for part of Texas, Houston, okay. But the trick is, in the winter time when it's get cold, you want to have a protected that fiberglass to keep the plant dry. What happens with a lot of plant, they might look okay over the winter, and yeah, in the patio they got right now, but they're okay. But by the time next fall in springtime, when the weather warm up, when the plant, the root is looking for water, because what happened with the moisture, whether it's bark or moss, even worse than moss, when it went down to below 40, guess what? Just like sometimes you have wind, it become icy. The ice crystal will form. We see that on our windshield, right? Okay, it will form, ice crystal will form in the rooting area, okay? And over time, it will kill the root. That's why the ice cube never work in the long run. In the long run, okay? It might be okay, yeah, but it's okay, yeah, they're okay in the house because the house is warm. But when it's outdoor, it's really bad. Okay, so the ice crystal forming in the root over the time. This the orchid is hard to kill. Okay, remember, cattleya leaf can survive without water as a packing material. 100 years ago, as a packing material inside the ship, right? At the bottom of the ship, hot and steamy, and still survive. But so it's hard to kill overnight. But the root will start to decay. So by the time the fall and spring, the weather warm up, the plant activated because the plant leaf can absorb moisture, so they're alive. They're looking for the no root to pick it up all the water and nutrient, and that's why all of a sudden they get kaput, they die. Okay, so I can grow a lot of orchid outdoor, but the trick is to make sure. That's why I say the easiest way is even that in any other area under your gutter. You know, in Southern California, we have a section under gutter, about 3 feet. That is natural. That's why I grew my orchid in West Covina when I was in high school here. Under the gutter is 3 feet. You can easily set up a bench, okay? Easily. And that area, you should no light. You don't worry about flipping the light in the middle of the night. You know, just get some concrete block, make a bench, and against the wall, that wall of the house, release the heat at night. So make use of those free heat, and that protected. We had customer even grow orchid phalaenopsis that way, year round. In Pomona, not far from here, he grow Vanda too, Ascocenda, just like that. Okay, so this is why by knowing the culture, the requirement of any of the cattleya, sometimes even back to the genus. So I know this one here, for example, have Bossavola tipiana in the background. They're not as hardy as this have Paparata in the background. Okay, so this is the one. If it's going to go below 45, I will put it in my greenhouse. But in the summertime, I can leave it outdoor year round. But in California, we rarely go below 45. Especially my outdoor area is concrete. You know, it's concrete. So concrete at night release the heat. Okay, so a lot of people, our home outside the gutter, it's not all concrete too. Okay, so that's why when I was in high school, that's why I go my greenhouse. My first greenhouse that I built for myself is only 100 square feet. So only phalaenopsis in the house, and the rest of the cymbidium, the cattleya, especially cattleya, year round. Okay, so you can actually, I know people in Northeast New Jersey, they put all their orchid outside. They then enjoy the extra. I love when I go speaking in New Jersey area, Northeast. I love the weather over there, natural, humid. Oh, and in fact, I have a customer. He have a shady area, and in the summertime, he don't use his greenhouse. He keep all the orchid outside in the shady area. Okay. He closed the window, shut down the storm cooler, and inside the greenhouse becomes 100 degrees. Naturally, this infects the whole greenhouse. You don't worry about the termite problem on his regular greenhouses. So that's wonderful. So you can always do all your kind of adjustment on your standard cattleya. The only thing, the drawback for a lot of standard cattleya is the size. Okay, they might be bigger, but the modern breeder is doing their job. Okay, so in particular is one of my favorites, the Kino Taiwan. This is a proven variety. Kino Taiwan is actually is breed from the Bryce Canyon, which is made in California by Stewart Orchid, not too far from here. It's a very beautiful compact to begin with, because Stewart Orchid back in the 70s, it started realizing what happened with the East, when the East Coast have this energy crisis, and in the 70s have a lot of energy crisis. They cannot afford to heat a lot of these greenhouses anymore. So now that's why they start to release some of the prices, because in the 50s and 60s there's always the competition between the East Coast and West Coast. Okay, the East Coast variety in all those cut flower variety. You know, if you talk to some of my old timer, this is the story they tell me. If the price for cut flower, they would not, even if they backball, you know what they do? They would never. They don't even put it in the trash can. They burn it. They're afraid people to go to the trash can and get their variety. This is how competition, because this is before tissue culture, cloning. Okay, so that's why in the 70s, because of heating crisis, a lot of the cut flower grower cannot afford to get in the business anymore. So that's why a lot of variety then get let go or sold to the West Coast. That's why this is why the development of the West Coast cattleya business is built now. So you have the Stewart, remember Stewart Orchid, Robert Cronin. These are all gone, unfortunately. But those are the time this is how some of the classic variety cattleya and some Paphiopedilum to make their way to the West Coast. And then, you know, Stewart is the one that make a dry on the situation and start to, my mentor Ernest, he would making crosses, and he sold division to a lot of his rich clients in San Marino. And guess what? This is one of my podcast I mentioned before in the earliest age. In the 60s and 70s, if you have a tissue culture laboratory, you control the market. Because obviously, orchid, whether it's from seed or from cloning, you cannot just, you know, do it by yourself or do a cutting or do a grafting. You had to do it under aseptic condition, not sterile condition. And this is what back in the 80s when I always want to have a nursery. So I thought, yeah, I need to spend, every time I said I take my 6th year to get my BS degree. No, I'm not goofing around. I spent extra 2 years to 3 years to master the plant tissue culture. Not just master, but really understand from the basic, the formulation. It's all about the media, tissue culture media, okay? This is why I was able to formulate the best of the fertilizer seriously on the market. And it was actually developed for myself. And then you still surprise it. It's surprising. I will do a session on the liquid fertilizer versus like slow release fertilizer, like Osmocool, and why you should not ask them. You know, I hope Osmocool don't sue me. But anyway, but the trouble is there's a lot of misinformation out there, because look at that, they're still selling 30-10-10 and 6-30-30. My God, those are the 70. Okay, that's what we call UCLA media. Okay, and but the reason they still sell them because it's good business. Okay, just like lady, I'm so sorry, but you guys have to, now you have day cream, middle cream, night cream, you know, all kind of cream. You know, cosmetic company is the one of the best making money. You know, is that you can have a cream, face cream for day, middle day, and night cream, and now they get into eye, under eye. So my philosophy always make it simple. You know, I want my customer, just like that's what I like Jeff, we get along. When I say, Jeff, you want to build a product, build something that you would like to grow yourself. And that's why his product is proven. Not just, hey, everybody can have a kind of grow light, LED light, to grow plant. Okay, we did it in the 70s, just regular cool white. But the trick is to get them to flower. Okay, but now I said, Jeff, the next challenge is do something, how about bandages? Especially, and then especially Standard Cattleyas. Okay, if you can get the cat, I have a lot of customer in Alaska, and guess what? They all go on the light. So they're the one that's the most sensitive, and tell me the feedback about how my product, Jeff product, and also Megadrive work. And you know, Megadrive now is proven. If you are my new customer, and you never had Megadrive before, and it's a lot better than Super Strike, but it's do a lot more than just root. It's everything. So Standard Cattleyas, the trick is try and do your research. Okay, especially my website, we try to do a lot of description or the culture tips on there, trying to do pick the variety that will fit your own collection. Sometimes you might have a collection, you don't have Cattleya, Standard Cattleyas in the middle of summer. Okay, so we have a search on the left hand side. You can say, I want something for winter time, you want something for summertime. So that's why you can pick and choose your variety. And another advice on when we do a show and tell or we buy later, it's always most economical to do the plant mature size. When we say the mature size is blooming size, because sometimes everybody wants instant gratification, but the Cattleya is short demand. We have a lot of customers coming. We have Cattleya in flower? No, I don't, because we ship out in sheet already. Okay, so the best is to buy them when sometimes we might say, oh, in sheet. Okay, if it says in sheet, you know it's down there. So this is the best way to ship it. But we can safely to ship it in flower. Okay, we also add to a lot another chemical absorbent in shipping. That's one of our trick. I even share with H&R and Roy. Now he's happy with it. That to ship Cattleya in flower. Okay, this is another chemical that can absorb ethylene in the shipping, and it's wonderful. Okay, Jeff, how we doing on a question? Okay, so the Cattleya on the very similar to what we did last week on the miniature. Look at my orchid here. We tried. That's why I post a picture. I have my staff go through the Cattleya Dendrobium house. Now it's going to the Cattleya house. We're trying to clean out the sheet here. When they do that, that we can do an inspection to make sure the plant does not have any insect down here, and just a very nice discipline, because once the sheet is dry up, the mega dry, the sheet will not absorb the mega dry. So you want to expose the suitable. Okay. Then when you fertilizer, you can especially my fertilizer, you can go pick up from the leaf and everything, and then down to the root. It's okay to have the leaf like this, a little bit on the lighter side. That means I give it a lot of light, because this is grow outdoor. So outdoor is much more intense versus later on I will show you the one in the greenhouse. But the grow outside, you're gonna have a light with leaf is lighter on the light side, which is good. That is guarantee. If you have a cattleya and people send me a picture, and I can tell by the leaf it's dark green, I say you're not giving enough light. Or if they're going under light, not the Jeff light, the LED light, I can that LED light, like some of the LED light is like purple.
Yeah.
It's really scary. Some people even have it in their room.
Those are the aquarium ones.
Yeah. Well, those are not good for orchid. And not only for you online. I don't know how people sleep in that room. No, it should be natural light. A lighter light on the cattleya is okay with that. So make sure also a teaspoon per gallon of water. I will use it on everything. If you are new with me, we use on everything. Okay, and then fertilizer, the mega drive, all the formulation, especially cattleya. Even though you say, oh, there's nothing happening. No, there's a lot of things happening, especially if they are in sheep. For example, even this one here, okay, it's ready to flower again. It's setting another sheet ready, but this is going to be flowering in the springtime. So when this is finished, a lot of people some people only feed them when they remember, also when they need flower. But hey, we eat 3 meals a day, and we only feed them twice a month. Not bad. So mark it on your calendar, okay? Especially the fall season is very critical on the feeding, the moments of the fertilizer or the mega dry, because the stage is getting shorter, and I say we have to plant the male and female. So now the accent, the male pheromone for the leaf and the growth, is going to decrease, and the night temperature, short night, long day, and the cooler night temperature is going to increase the female, the cytokinin, which is for the flower development. And this is the time to stage whether it's cymbidium, your spring blooming cattleya, your phalaenopsis, even though they might do not much without flower, but it's a lot of things going on internally inside the plant. Okay? How are we doing? Okay, good. That's okay.
But that one is sold.
Oh, this is why we, you see what Jamie did? We do this wire to support the flower. So that orchid, when we ship, we don't worry about the flower snap.
Oh.
Yeah, this is what Jamie sells us, the wire she has.
Oh.
It's wonderful.
Oh.
Okay, now we're going to talk about critique some of the, I'm going to do something that what I call the trip or the day or the week. Okay, I'm going to, tip of the week. Okay, and some of you might know already. So this is a perfect example of, okay, this is from my nursery, a fall bloomer, a summer bloomer just finished, okay? But it got that beautiful new shoot coming up, yeah. But I don't want to divide them, okay? But what you can do is, because this is not the time to divide, but you have all this new shoot going to hang out, what we're going to do? You're going to be undisciplined like this. So I'm going to hang down here. So we can show you a trick. Some of you will know already. Get a bigger pot, like clay pot or 6-inch pot. Just leave it in there. Still have the original pot there, okay? But because we have a drainage here, just fill it up. If you have moss, you can fill it up with the moss too. Okay, so that way you don't have to do too many. So this new growth here is actually have some kind of a support here versus undisciplined that kind of go everywhere like this. Okay. Then, if we, for propagation purpose, and Brian, you want to make sure, can you see the eye? For lots of this division, price division, I can actually 1, 2, 3. Okay. I can do a pre-cut.
Oh, I just leave it in the pot.
And just leave it in the pot.
you want to do it?
Okay, no. No, all I have to do is just detach. Right. Can you see this side? This tool here is detached already. Okay, so it's now.
So you split it.
We split it, but we still leave it and attach. So by the time the following spring, when this come up, they have their own root here. All you have to do is just separate them. And because cattleya is like the rhizome, you're suitable. The back, what we call the backbone, is detached, so they don't have the dominant anymore. So now they are free. They're out of contract already. The backbone will have their own growth. So now you have this during this time, winter time, and especially with the help of Make-A-Dry, they're gonna have suitable backbone sprout up. So this is actually faster than when we do the bare root earlier, because now we had to wait for them, right? Okay. But that's because the root, the potting media is all wet, is all not good anymore. So this is one way to propagate, to divide, because sometimes you might have a orchid that really nice. You want to make sure you have extra copy, or sometimes people want to trade division. So this is one way to do it. So, and then I want to fill them more. Voila. So this plant will keep growing. If I don't do that, it's gonna be everywhere, and eventually, because they're dry, the plant, the root will die. So this is the one way to do it. Okay, but I have so many plants, we don't always have the time to do it. But usually this is, this is why, this is from my own bench. Sometimes we don't have the time to take care of it, but this, because we simply sell it so fast. Okay, so this is one way to do it. So this is from every episode now, we're gonna have your tip of the week. Okay, might be not necessary for the same topic. It's just what I discovered that week, or could be that morning, or could be the night I cannot sleep. Okay, all right. We now go over the fun part. I think Jeff. I think we can go to the. Oh no, we still get the petite Andrew's plant. Andrew got this. Andrew, this all go outside, right?
Yeah.
Andrew live in what? With Hollywood. Outdoor. So this is good. I'm gonna do a critique, and this is fine. And Andrew, and this is very natural. This is sunburn, okay? And you mean I can do anything wrong?
Oh yeah.
You sure?
Yes. Whatever you want.
Okay. Now, this is fall. Okay. So the suitable is good. Okay, this is not ornamental. I would just cut them off. What happens is, this is sunburn. By the time in the winter time, there's a wound here. You also take in summertime is okay, but as the weather cool off, okay, and moisture in the air or possible rain, this already have an infection, a wound. The pathogen can go through here and give you a rotting. So this is the time, like in the fall, to do some house cleaning. Okay, you do want to cut this off. Okay, and this, that's okay. They're not doing anything. Oh, wow, I didn't see this. Okay, now, so it's up to you. You can leave it there.
Can I just cut half of it?
Cut half of it? Oh yeah, it's your plan. So if I'm gonna cut half of it, I will do this.
Or like that? Okay.
Versus, okay. Or you can do a.
Okay.
Well, now you might as well just take it off. There's nothing left.
It's up to him. Okay. And other than that, I think he got his outdoor in shady. Then he have a sheet coming up.
And he went through a rot problem. So
yeah, no, he's doing a good job. And he's also, because his Hollywood is dry, he also, the bottom is the rock, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. And then the rock can be dry, so he put some moss as a top dressing to hold the moisture, and that's okay. And this is good. Andrew, I will cut this off.
Cut them off? Okay.
I will cut them off because, now I need like a scale.
Well, I actually cleaned it up last weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah, but this one here is simple. This is what we call the all suitable now, okay? But what happened is it become a potential host for a lot of pathogen.
Okay.
then you're gonna have more light coming through.
Now, what do I do with that growth
Which growth?
in the bottom?
This growth here?
Yeah.
Okay, what? Let it go. You can do the trick. This grow, what color is this? What Maxima? Oh, Cattleya Maxima. Okay, this is Cattleya Maxima.
That one is also Maxima. This
Okay,
is white.
This is not as hardy, so you be careful with this. No, you don't want to. You want to put it closer to your house.
Okay.
Okay, because they're not as hardy. This is straight Cattleya. Okay, so they're not as hardy. Okay, so this one here, just leave it alone. Unless if you have space in your greenhouse, I would put a Cattleya.
Don't forget, I'm warmer than you.
Yeah, you're warmer than me. Yeah, this. If you go outside, this shoot is just gonna sit there. It only grow when it's really warmer temperature.
I might try the lights.
Yeah, but that's why I like the light. Light is the best because you can do vertical, okay? But even I've been to Andrew's house. You know, he have a inside area, in the window. You can even put a light up there.
Yeah, that's where I was
Supplemental.
Thinking. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, even California, we are by November is our shorter stay.
Yeah.
By 4 o'clock,
Dark.
it's total dark, and we don't get light until because we're fog here. Okay, kind of overcast. We don't get the light until 12 o'clock.
It's very dark.
So technically, we only have 4 hours light here.
Yeah.
So this is why sometimes we do some. It's good to do supplemental lighting. Yeah. But my greenhouse is not designed for the lighting because with the new technology. No, if I do my greenhouse again and have a greenhouse specific for Cattleya, and I would consider and I would put the supplemental lighting into my greenhouse. But because in California, not as necessary. But if I started my nursery in Canada, like Ontario, Canada, even for Phalaenopsis, the supplemented, or Vancouver, for example, is a must. Okay, and then here's another one.
That's an insecure.
Yeah, Insidia, another one, and pretty much it's doing a good job. All you have to do is just, and that's one thing about growing outdoor, because sometimes you might have an area that got some sunburn. I will just trim off some of the sunburn, okay? And this is from some of the cut. I will trim this again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
This could be some fertilizer burn. And most of these are from all area. This is...
I just didn't know how far.
It looks good now.
This is ultra purple island type, right?
I thought it was semi-alba.
Yeah, semi-alba. Okay, good. This is a weed.
Oh yeah.
Very nice. It's have a lot of growth here. So what I usually like to do is some of the old suitable back here, I cut off the older leaf.
Yeah.
That way allow even here, okay? Because the older leaf, this is what it counts. The older leaf is there, okay?
And Norman, if I may point out, so this year I really put Mega 5 on this plant.
I can tell.
And you can tell the ones before and after.
Right. So what we're doing is right now, and this is a trick I do for my own show plant, okay? Remember Dendrobium hibiki?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I do that. That way, see? I trim out all this extra leaf. Not only they have sunburn, but now you get more light in here now.
Yeah.
And I also increase the air circulation around here.
Yeah.
So instead of Insidia, this is what it counts. And he did a good job. He's cleaning it up. Look how shiny they are. So now I cut up all this extra leaf that can be a potential host for scale, insect or rain, rotting. Now it looks out pretty.
But you can see like in the front bulb over here.
This is from Mega Dry.
Yeah, and then the one before last year was much smaller.
Yes. See, this is one you see before Mega Dry and Mega Dry and fertilizer, right?
Yeah.
Good. See, you did a good job.
That's good.
Voila.
I also have one with Digbiana in the background. But
Yes.
I don't know what I should do with that.
Just
But you said the Digbiana.
right now, do not do anything to them. Just leave them alone.
And how cold can you let the Digbiana hang out?
Straight Digbiana.
No, it's a hybrid with Digbiana.
Hybrid, depending on which hybrid. Did they have L in the background? Did they L?
I'll show you later.
No
I brought
problem. Mr. Huang. Are we ready for show and tell?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Oh, we got lots of Standard Cattleyas. But we're going to start off with some fragrant Phalaenopsis. Okay. Now, this is the earliest fragrant. 686. This is Phalaenopsis shuriana. This is pink butterfly. I love this leaf. Okay, and fragrant. Now we have enough for this. Order now because this is the stage. You know, we don't want to be too tall. We're going to take too tall. The taller the flower spike, we have to charge more because the shipping charge. Okay, so get them now because before they get too tall. But you can see the flower. You see here. This is from summer when we have hot wave. But now with it cool off, look at the flower spike. This is the NF686 is a wonderful and very fragrant, and have the marking from pink butterfly. Okay, and some of you have this. We almost sold out of this one. This is actually Jaho Pink Lady is have shuriana in the background, and it's fragrant. So if you don't have this one here, you're a new member. Make sure you get this one. The leaf is gorgeous, and they have this shuriana as a species parent and very fragrant. Okay, excellent for under light. Another two good mini. I love this one. This is actually a Chiba hybrid. Chiba is a species from Japan, very rare. And this is Chiba with Pochorima, a summer blooming species. So I'm really surprised this one even make. So I have about 25 other mature plants. They will flower in the spring, but get them now. Wonderful leaf plant. I love the primary hybrid because the primary means species and species, so they got the best of both parents. Okay, and this one here, some of you have this already. This is the last batch we're gonna have, and after that, almost all out for the blooming one. This is the Equestrians with tension bouquet. So the 50% will be polaric, 50% will be normal. So there might be some pink. And I think Eric still had a special for 2 for $50. Wow, get them now. Wow. Okay. Perfect for underlight. And this one, you want to check a new red. I love this one. Mintokin red pepper. Look at the color. Look at the sheen. And this is the first release. Look at the plant. The plant is very compact and it's fragrance too. Okay. Can you see the sheen on it? All right. Okay. And then this is sequential flower, so you never cut out the spike. Just leave it alone. You can go for windowsill. Do I have a number? This is Tiffany Christopher. I love this one. Yeah, this one have a marble formosana from Taiwan. Look how pretty. Have a Equestrian alba and also Stewardariana. So this is actually wonderful. They flower this twice for us, and this is actually a spike in the middle of the hot weather. So now the weather cooling off even more. So they flower several times a year and stay compact. So if you need a good yellow, good white with tiny yellow lip for windowsill, this is very good one to have. Okay. And the one is Dendrobium. Now this is quite unusual and not very similar to Farmerite, but it's a lot pretty, more compact. And the leaf, you can check out on the recap that will give you the flower. This is the one is Dendrobium palpebrae. Okay.
What color is that?
They ranging from yellow, pure yellow, yellow lip,
with the
to white with yellow lip. But the best part is it's so small.
Is it like a spicy column, kind of like that?
Yes, but look at it. This is it. They don't get any bigger. So good for hanging basket, and this is the size. Look how pretty.
I like it growing just like a Farmerite.
That's just growing outside. You can grow outside in Southern California, treat it as a medium. So Florida, easy, you know, up and down from Homestead to Gainesville, outdoor, year round. And Ooh, nice, nice. This is American Caustic, and this is actually called Pamela Hannington, making by Stewart in California. And I know Pamela Hannington. She's actually a daughter of Ernest Hannington, and he's a MD at East Coast. This is what I say. Stewart at Ernest Hannington star. This is his breakthrough on the Standard Cattleyas. This one flower, I have seen it flower with 25 centimeter, 8 inches in size. They flower in the springtime, yet the size of the plant. Okay, so this is the classic that I brought it back again. You don't see this very often anymore. It does have a first class certificate from American Orchid Society, but look how handsome the plant.
What color of the plant?
Pink. It have beyond the background. So it's the recap will give you a picture, and really fragrant is the pink of this color, but the big blossom lip, and the flower size can be up to 25 centimeter.
Wow. Huge.
Yet, and I have seen it with 4 to 5 flowers on it. It's a natural tetrapod. Okay. Another modern standard. This is actually yellow. Okay. Look how fabulous they are. Short plant. This can be, I think this young Kong. So this is actually greenish yellow. We have the beyond the background, so the plant gets short. So this is MC 1320. Okay.
And pure yellow?
Pure yellow with semi-yellow lip. And this is probably the best modern. This is actually is a premium. This is premium side. And the funny thing about this splash petal, this is the yellow with splash petal. I don't have a picture, but they will give you a recap. This is the best yellow splash cattleya, Peroxide.
Oh, okay.
And non-fading. Again, this is it. They don't get any bigger.
Oh, okay.
The flower is about 5 inches. Okay. And get it now because they will flower on the next growth for the springtime. And okay, and it's more economical to do this. And this is actually the new variety. This is This is the Deuce White, but this is the only one with pink. But this is the new chrome from Deuce Orchid. Okay, this is all Deuce White, but this is one called Pink Candy. I haven't flowered them yet, but it was what. So you're gonna share this with me.